we've come so far. And I think that giving yourself credit for how far you've come will actually help you double down on getting even better. Right.
If you've made progress over the last month or year or 2 or 5, give yourself some credit, because you're never going to feel like you're making progress if you don't look back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. We had our last week's Meetup Monday on how committed are you really. Today, for episode number 594, is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of episodes.
It's several.
Give yourself some damn credit.
Give to yourself some
of that damn credit. So, I posted something on my social medias today, and it was basically about you shouldn't let other people decide what your dreams are. Like, you shouldn't let other people decide, you know what, I don't think that's for you. Like, that's not for you. I don't think that's what you should be doing with your life. Right? You have to lean into what you want. But somebody commented on it, and they basically said, well, what happens if you don't have any dreams, you don't have any goals, you go to a job you don't like every day, and you're hiding from your life with weed and alcohol? And I had this moment of like, okay, the easiest way and the most authentic way for me to answer this question is to say that was me 4 or 5 years ago. But how often do I actually think about that?
Right.
How often do I think... And I think I'm probably more proactive than most people in this, because I do look back quite often when you've heard me say this before, if you've been listening for a while, or if you're new, maybe not. But when I'm really high mentally or low emotionally, I look back in the past and say, like, oh, we've come so far. Like, Taryn and I were watching episode 20-something the other day, and I was like, oh, God. You know, you get those nervous sweats when you're watching something you hate in front of somebody you love. That's the way it was for me. But I'm looking back and thinking of 5 years ago. I was 26 years old. I remember we'd be in New Jersey, and literally it was like, let me just get through this day. I worked construction is the best way to explain it. And we worked first shift. Sometimes we worked second shift. We'd get back to the hotel. We'd shower quick. We'd put on our nice clothes, and we'd take an Uber down to the bar, wherever that bar was. Okay, and again, I was making a lot of money. I'm making $100 an hour. So it's like, let's go. Let's just go tear it up. Let's just go get hammered and do this. And this is what I'll do. I'll tell you a different story.
Appreciate it.
In New Jersey, where we were staying, there was I don't remember the name of the restaurant. It's basically like a Hooters attached to our hotel. Worst idea in the world for my boss to do that. I don't know why he did that. Terrible idea. But we would go there every day after work and drink. Every day. And we got hammered. The kid who I worked with and I got super, super drunk, like irresponsibly drunk. And we ended up getting a ride from somebody we had never met, like weird, somebody we had never met, to another bar to do karaoke. Okay?
Right, naturally.
I don't even know how we got back to the hotel. Like, I think we called girls we knew in New Jersey to bring us back. It was terrible. I woke up... I threw up in the toilet many times that night before I went to bed, woke up hungover, and went to work. And that was just like a regular Thursday. I was just like, oh, okay, it's time to do this again. Like, go to work. The reason I tell you that is not to glorify that. Like, that was honestly some dark times in my life. But how often are you looking back on those experiences and not... See, it's easy for me not to give myself shame because I'm happy for where I am now. When I look back, it's actually like, oh, I'm so glad I've made it to where I am. Another story, I literally used to go... I remember going to a bar in New Jersey. We knew one of the bartenders. She was a girl that we had talked to. I remember saying, I think it was like 20 shots. Like, what is the most amount of shots I can order? And she's like, well, I can only give you and your buddy like 2 each. I said, give me 20, and then you can walk around with us and pass them out to people. Literally, at a bar, and I knew none of these people.
Right.
None of these people. That was the highlight of my life at the time. That was the highlight of my week, my day, my month, my year. That's what I wanted to tell my friends about. Like, this is the amazing things I did this weekend, or this week during work. It wasn't even the weekend. And again, the reason I'm talking about that is not to glorify that. I'm not proud of those things, but it's easy for me to look back now and say, like, holy F, like, you could have gone a lot of different ways.
Right.
And I don't think enough people look back into their past and actually take out the positivity of it. Of like, you could have been you got to give yourself some damn credit.
Right.
If you've made progress over the last month or year or 2 or 5, give yourself some credit because
Right.
you're never going to feel like you're making progress if you don't look back. So that's just a little bit about me.
So the interesting thing about that story that you just told is I think a lot of people who listen to this show struggle with comparison. They see someone else's highlight reel on social media and they think that that's real and that's the other person's real life. So if you're out there listening, just for reference, think about a couple who you know behind the scenes is really struggling. They're really suffering. They're having a hard time. But yet their photos on Facebook and Instagram look unbelievable. Now, that's not to say that every unbelievable Facebook photo of a couple isn't authentic. Emilia and I are super, super happy, and we post happy photos. But, like, at the end of the day, we are all naturally inclined to compare ourselves to others socially as social creatures to try to figure out where we fit. The problem is if we're comparing to a highlight reel. What Kevin just did is the opposite. You're not comparing to someone else's highlight reel. You're comparing to your old truth and then looking at how far you've come, so it's got a different feeling to it. Like, you're proud of yourself, or at least you should be.
Yeah, and honestly, like, that's not even the worst. I don't want to say the worst of it, but, like, it wasn't... That was just a regular kind of thing that we did.
Right.
There was worse stuff.
So let me ask you this. Where would your life be if you kept acting that way? You know what I mean? Excuse me, burped.
No worries. I think I would be very quote-unquote successful because I probably, well, hopefully at some point would have learned more about saving money. But I wouldn't have the relationship. I know for a fact I wouldn't have the relationship.
Right.
Number one, because I know Taryn wouldn't deal with me traveling that much like that.
Right.
And being that empty of a cup consistently. It's different when you're traveling to a speech. And you can bring your partner with you and say, like, hey, we're going to stay at this nice hotel. And that, you know, it's more of a trip.
And I won't get blackout drunk.
Yeah, I most likely won't, you know. But it was brutal.
No,
Where would I be? It's interesting. I don't know. I genuinely, it probably wouldn't be a good place. I'd probably be very miserable. I don't think I'd have any of the skills I have. I wouldn't be patient as a partner.
Did you have any good habits back then?
The gym.
Anything else?
No, God, no. That was it. I was the guy who prepped his meals, had his jug of water, and hit the gym every day before work, pretty much.
Even when you were hungover?
No, I don't know. Probably
brutal
not.
For your body, man.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm not judging.
No worries.
There. Yeah.
I remember it was like, make sure you have Powerade the night before and the day after. Like, you drink one before bed and one when you wake up, and it was usually like, that'll keep you alive.
Powerade, yeah, it will keep you alive. Yeah, Powerade is the.
And again, I'm not glorifying any of these things, but I feel like somebody said something recently to me on a call that I had with them. They said, like, you and Alan are my Brendan Burchard, my Tony Robbins type people. And it was like, I love that, and that genuinely means the world to me. But I don't ever want you to lose sight of the fact that 5 years ago I was suicidal. Like, I don't want you to lose sight of that, because that immediately, when I tell you that, I hope something inside of you says, like, he can't have it all figured out then. Like, not less long ago, he was doing this or he was doing that. And that's the goal is, even if you look at Alan and I's social media, it is the highlight reel in terms of we pick the best content from the episode. Right? Like, it's all designed to be the most valuable.
Right.
But on here, we're not going to sugarcoat it and say, like, I've always been this way. I've always done this. Like, no, I've been tracking my habits for a year, maybe, or a year and a half at this point.
Right.
But I just want, and Alan knows this, one of my fears is not being relatable. Like, genuinely, that's one of my fears, is somebody saying, like, I could never do that. And I want to be the example of, because I did, you can too.
For sure.
That's always my goal.
And we believe in you. If you're out there listening, like, we believe that everything we're capable of, put it this way, you are capable of becoming a better version of yourself.
For sure.
Always. Next level you. It's like there is a next level of you. And think about yourself 3 years ago. Think about yourself 5 years ago. Think about yourself 6 years ago, 10 years ago. And, like, think about the way you used to live your life. You've probably evolved so much since then, but yet you probably still feel behind all the time. And it's just interesting because, you know, if I look back 5 years ago, I've come so far. I remember I did this one exercise that blew my mind. I called it the 3 columns. It was, the first column is write down all of your current habits that are good. These are things that are getting you closer to your goals and your highest self. Second column, write down all your bad habits, the things you're doing consistently that are not taking you closer to your goals. And then the third one is wishful habits. What are the habits you wish you had? And now I would shift that to intention, habits I intend on creating. But I remember doing that exercise several years in a row. And Kev, I compared lists a year later. My bad habits column was completely different. All of the bad habits that I had said I was doing were gone from my life within 1 year. If you were to change one habit per 21 days, which is 3 weeks, for a year, it's 17 habits. You could have 17 new positive habits in a year from today. And a lot of people think that's heavy. One positive habit I just started, super simple, super simple. I brush the roof of my mouth now when I brush my teeth. You know why? I saw Emilia doing it. And I was like, wait, you brush the roof of your mouth? She's like, yeah, you got to do the whole thing. And I always brush, my tongue. I never brushed the top of my, that's a new habit. Now I do it automatically. So whatever life you want, if you want your life to improve, it's just going to be a matter of looking at where you've been, looking at where you are now, looking at where you want to go. And if you have a story similar to Kevin, I have a bunch of those too. And we've come so far. And I think that giving yourself credit for how far you've come will actually help you double down on getting even better.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this or listening to this, it's obvious that you want to get to the next level of your life. We can help you get there faster.
In 3 months from today, your life can look completely different. Here's how. Group coaching. Here's what you're going to get. So you're going to get bi-weekly calls with Kevin and myself. You're going to be on a team of 10 like-minded, growth-oriented individuals. You're also going to be in a WhatsApp chat with Kevin and I and the entire team, 24/7 access to chat. Also, you're going to get bi-weekly progress reports and peak performance tracking.
Guys, this is a great opportunity for those who can't afford one-on-one coaching with Alan and myself. We have helped dozens and dozens of people get to the next level at this point. Go to nextleveluniverse.com, click group coaching, or find the link in the show notes.
Talk to you soon.
I asked, so Taryn and I have like a shared, you'd love this, a shared notes, the actual notes versus a Google Drive thing of deep topics to talk about.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were talking about this weekend was, I think it was last week, how have your past relationships shifted you into the person you are today in our relationship? And it was interesting for both of us to kind of go back and try to connect some dots and talk about that sort of thing, because it's like a lot of the great things we do in our relationships are because we didn't have such great things that we did back in the day.
I know.
Or we didn't have understandings. And it's just this interesting thing where I think as human beings, we're so focused on what is, and we really, really tend to see what was bad, that we don't really focus on how the bad went from bad to what it is.
You and I use an app called Romwod. ROMWOD.
Shout out to Bianca for suggesting that to me.
Yes. And Bianca, dear friend and client. If I didn't pull my groin again for the third time in the last year and a half, I wouldn't be doing Romwod every day. See, it's interesting because we don't always associate the failures with the successes that we've had later. A current failure is actually going to be a success later. We just had an issue with the audio and the video. And because of that, we're going to be more in tune later. I can think of 1,000 different things that we've done poorly. We sent a bunch of audios earlier to potential guests, and I am going to get better through those jeffings. I think that's another thing that we used to say all the time. We used to talk about fail forward all the time, yeah. Kev. I feel like Kevin and I are guilty of something, and I want to be honest with our listeners. I think that some of the fundamentals that have helped create who we are today, right? If you're out there listening right now, you heard, Kevin's story of how he used to be. 5 years ago, that was something, buying shots and getting hammered and taking drives from strangers and going bar to bar.
I remember this will be good context. I was sitting behind the person that was driving the car, and I literally said, like, don't try anything funny because I'm behind you, and if you get weird, I will choke you. If you make me.
Right.
Like literally it was that sketchy. Where and it was like a rental car. It wasn't even his real car. It was like there was a lot of questionable things that happened that night.
My goodness.
Yes, it was reckless.
And Would you ever do any of that now?
No, God, no.
So why?
Back then, I think I was I think it made me feel important. I think going to the bar and buying shots for 20 people who are there to get drunk, you feel significant because everybody loves you.
Right.
I know you can resonate with that, and it's like I just don't think I had any of that in my life. I didn't feel very important. I didn't feel important at my job. I didn't feel important when I went home to my lonely apartment in New Hampshire by myself. I didn't feel important when I went and worked out by myself. Like, I lived so much of my life kind of alone that, like, even when I was with people, I wasn't really with people. I was just like, you know what I mean? I just never felt important. So I would do whatever I was, and I still am to a degree, the person, like, any chance I get to take my shirt off, back in the day, you've been to parties with me, the second I get there, my shirt comes off.
Right.
It was a running joke. If anybody ever spilled anything, I would just be like, oh, yeah, no, I'll use my shirt for a towel, because that gave me significance. I was always in good enough shape where people would be like, oh, wow, that's impressive. You know, so understanding that, looking back, it's like, yeah, I was looking for something that I didn't have. I was trying to meet a need.
Exactly. And we all have that need for a sense of importance. I think we did an episode on that. But the other thing that I think is fascinating is that I don't think you valued your life that much.
I remember I wasn't excited for the future. I didn't know what the future held.
Right.
And now I still don't. I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I know it's better than, I don't want to say better. I know it's what we're doing now at a higher level. And before, if it was what I was doing at a higher level, I would have been miserable.
Interesting.
I didn't like what I was doing. If you don't like what you're doing, it's going to be very hard for you to be excited for the future unless it involves you doing something different than what you're doing now. So I feel like it's very hard for people who are miserable, I don't want to say miserable, people who are unhappy where they currently are, because in order for you to be excited for the future, you have to figure out what to shift. Like, what do I actually have to shift? Do I have to leave my job? Do I have to do something different at work? Is it my relationship? Is it my health? Is it my habits?
That's why coaching's so important.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
And back then, it's interesting to me. Think about this if you're listening. Kevin would never have hired a coach back then. But he needed a coach way more than you do now.
I don't know if it's way more.
Right.
Way different. I definitely needed a coach.
Yeah.
They could have told me, like, anything.
Yeah, you know what I
Anything would
mean?
have helped, yeah.
It's interesting. Sometimes the people who need it most are the least inclined. It's just a trip. It's a trip.
Boom.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one for the kid.
For sure.
Again, this was heavily about me, but it's not about me. I want to use my experiences that I feel comfortable talking about to help you guys understand that, like, maybe you're not giving yourself enough credit. Like, you got to give yourself some damn credit for what you're doing. And so many people, clients, friends, family members, everybody we know, even the team at some point, they don't give themselves credit for the small wins. Same here, right? I will be the first to say, like, that sucked. Like, what could we have done better? But what did we do great?
Dude, you did 100% week last week.
I appreciate that.
I do the NLU team reports every week, and I know we got to go, but it's interesting because, like, you have how many things on your system?
16 now, I believe.
Right, and you added a second KPI. I noticed Jeff in the system. No, but, okay, 16 habits and 2 KPIs, so 14 habits and 2 KPIs, right?
No, I think it's... Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think it might be 16.
Okay, you've got 16 columns.
Yeah.
Where you're tracking.
Yeah.
Kevin, I do the reports of the last 7 days every week, every Sunday night, and for everyone on the team. Kevin had 100%. Dude, the version of you now who does 100% of 16 habits at one point was getting wasted, and the only good habit he had was going to the gym.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're out there listening, you are capable of that too.
For sure.
In 5 years from right now, 2 years from right now, 3 years from right now, your life can be entirely different. I think that's the one takeaway I want to give to everybody. Like, that was 5 years ago, and Kevin's life... Okay. Is there anything similar?
No, like, now I might have a glass of wine with Taryn on a night, and then we go to bed. That's pretty... Or I'll have, like, a whiskey while I'm watching UFC.
Right.
Like, that's it. There's not really much recklessness nowadays for me.
Right.
You know?
So if you're out there listening right now, there's no reason why your life can't look completely different 5 years from today, even sooner than that.
And this is a good frame too, and it doesn't have to be like this for you, and we'll go after this because we're jeffing. Even if I decide I want to have a glass of whiskey and watch a fight or whatever it may be, that's after I make sure everything that I know is going to bring me to my goals is done.
Right.
I mean, there's always stuff I could be doing, right? But like I make sure that 100% system of success is done before I start jeffing, basically.
One last question.
Yeah, sure.
How fulfilled were you back then during that story?
I mean, very, very
0 to 10.
2.
How fulfilled are you now?
I would say like a 9.5 consistently. There's ebbs and flows as circumstances happen, but in terms of fulfillment, it's like there's nothing I'd rather be doing. You know,
Okay.
it's easy for me to sign up for this forever.
So a 2 to a 9.5?
Yeah.
Last question. Why? What made the difference?
I think one of the big reasons is I feel like there's a future with what we're doing. You know, with what I'm doing, but with what we're doing specifically. Growth and contribution for sure, something we talk about a lot. I am blessed where every single day I have the opportunity to talk to many, many people. Like many people reach out and I have the opportunity to talk to them. I'm not lonely unless I choose to be. So I think that's important. And then the growth part, like I've grown so much. I know so much more than I've ever have that I can be confident in my level of understanding things. You know, I feel like I'm an evolved person, an evolved version of the old Kevin. I've always had a good heart and I've always had work ethic. I just think I needed direction and I needed purpose. I needed a specific purpose. And I think that's what most people want. I would say find a way to grow and contribute at a greater level. And I think that'll bring you closer to what you actually want.
Absolute fire.
Do you dig that?
I dig that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Facebook group.
Oh,
it's called Next Level Nation.
Next Level Nation.
One of the best. I'm going to say it right now. It's a big statement. It's the best community
ever.
in the world.
Yeah.
If you want to be supported, if you want to be understood, if you want people to lift you up when you feel like you're struggling, if you want to be challenged every once in a while with things that we post in there, Next Level Nation is the place to do it. We also go live there for our Meetup Monday, so it's an easy place for you to connect with us there. It's in the show notes below. All you got to do is go click it, and we'll see you there for sure.
Click it.
Click it or tick it.
Yeah, literally, I was thinking that. The very last thing I'll say here is, so Kevin and I were talking in the studio earlier today about like, we're not one thing. We life, love, health, and wealth. There is no one size fits all to anything in life. There's only what's right for you. So if you're out there listening, we were asking ourselves, like, what do we speak on? It's personal development, but it's going to be catered and customized to each unique event, each unique organization. So if you're out there right now and you're a listener of this show, you know we started an initiative. There's one free virtual speech for each of you. Please reach out, DM Kevin, DM myself, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. We're going to send out a custom questionnaire to your organization for your attendees, and we're going to customize it. The last one was about work-life balance. That doesn't mean that's what this one will be about, but that's our specialty.
Next time you do something great, next time you do something good, next time you feel like you're making positive change in your life, I want you to give yourself some damn credit. That's it. And honestly, this is the no BS, but heart-driven. When you're not doing that and you're holding yourself back and you're making up excuses, I want you to give yourself a little kick in the ass.
Exactly.
And I think it's the balance.
Fire.
I don't expect anybody to want what Alan and I want. You don't have to do 16 things a day. Maybe start with 1 and then go to 2 and maybe you'll get to 5.
Right.
Right? At the end of the day, our goal is to help you get to the next level. There is a next level
4
for
years
everybody.
ago, you were at 5
Yeah.
habits a day.
Not even 4
No,
years ago.
3.
Yeah, 3 years ago I was at
Exactly.
that.
So
4 years ago I was at 0 habits.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We appreciate you. We could not do this without you. We are grateful for you. As always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.